much.
Okay, thank you. Well, so ERA is, or what I'm going to talk about is ERA is an application designed to assist those who want to play some complex role-playing games. So I'm not sure how interactive you usually make this, but I would like to know if people do know, at least if some of the people watching have an idea what a role-playing game is, because if not, maybe I should give an introduction, but I don't want to give too long an introduction if people already know about them. So if anyone can tell me by the chat or unmute themselves and let me know if you at least know what it is, or if you don't know anything about them, so that I can give a slightly maybe longer introduction to make sure you understand what the application intends to do.
I know very little about role-playing, so just
Okay.
one vote.
Well, well, I'm gonna basically, yeah, okay. Well, so you basically join with people to play. In the old days, you'd play around the table, basically like a tabletop game, where the main objective is to tell a story between all the people, and one of the people guides the story. It's normally called the game master, dungeon master, storyteller, or whatever, depending on the game. Yeah, D&D is one of the typical role-playing games. What I did was I was playing a role-playing game called Rolemaster, which is quite complex, and it has a lot of charts and rules. Most games do, but this one was known by its complexity. So I decided to start making little software assistance to help improve the experience at the table and speed up the game, because there was a lot of table lookup in books. So we decided we didn't want to. Someone asked if it involved personas. It kind of does, but personas, I think it's more related to some psychology or theater thing. And in a role-playing game, every participant tends to like take the part of one character in a story, but one of the people does not take the part of a single character, but decides how to apply the rules and evolve the story and the environment. Okay, so the idea was mostly to make tools for the game master and for the players. So I started doing this for my own gaming group. I was, learning about Smalltalk at work, at university, and I decided to create some stuff in Smalltalk. And then the company that sells Rolemaster said that they were looking for software support. So I approached them. I told them, okay, I do have something already in use for my group, and I would like to share it with other people, with other groups playing, in case they are interested. So we agreed that I would publish it through them in this site that you see here. It's called Drive-Thru RPG. So here you can purchase ERA for free, because that's the base product. The idea is that we didn't want people who have already played to play a role-playing game. You need to buy a rule book, okay, in this same site or in a store, in a physical store, and then you have to maybe buy dice, and you have to bring paper and to take notes during the game. Maybe some people bring their laptops to take notes, or to have something. Maybe instead of having the books physically, they have the PDFs and they scroll through that when they are playing to check some rules. And then you also have to pay for the modules and supplements, and if you want to buy an adventure that was already created. So the idea was that if you already bought the books, you don't have to pay anything else for ERA. You just download the application. You see here it says it's $0, and you can use it. But what we agreed was that the product would be free, but the content that would make the game easier to be played would be at a cost. So if you see here in drive-through, if you go through here, all the things that I have available, okay, so most of the packages have a price, and then we'll see how these packages are added to the base product. So if you get the base product, you can do this. If anyone wants to stop me at any point, please do. I don't want to do the whole presentation and then learn that maybe you wanted me to show something else. I'll be giving you a showcase of what the application does and then how it does some of that, but do interrupt me or point me in any direction you think you might need me to go. So what you get when you install when you purchase the application, you get an installer for Windows, for Mac, and for Linux. This is because it's developed in Pharo, so I'm using the 3 virtual machines, and I'm building on top of that, okay? This is, I think I've said this in some of the Smalltalk's presentation, but this is like a small business opportunity I had, and it's because of Pharo and its license and the way it offers me a working Smalltalk environment and has the possibility to do a commercial application with it, okay? So thanks to Pharo for that. So what you get is, I'm using Windows here, it's the same in Linux and Mac. You get different, well, what I did here was I installed the 3 different Era-based packages that I have at once, okay? So what you have, if you have Era for Rolemaster, and there are others, I think if I order the price, okay. There's also for Against the Darkmaster, that it's another, because, sorry, the thing was that after I started with Rolemaster, I approached another company that did a game that was similar, that's Against the Darkmaster, and I also added support to Era for that, and I know where it will be. Next page. Okay, and there's also for Navigator RPG from another company, and we got that as a pay what you want format. So because the basic book is pay what you want, so the Era for that module is also pay what you want. Okay, so you get the, what I did here, what I installed all versions to have everything available. They can coexist even in the same directory, and you start the one that you want. So this is one of the versions of Rolemaster that is supported. It's open in the other monitor, right? Starting this just gets this console here with some logging, okay, and it tells you where it's running, and it's like this. This is the server. Okay, let's see it here, and this gives you Era. So in Era, you can create a character for your adventure. Okay, you have some tooltips. This is done using Seaside, and then on top of Seaside, we are using Willow, which is an open source project we did at Buenos Aires Smalltalk that allows you to do web interaction on top of Seaside. And this is using jQuery UI. So you do the different choices for your character. There are a lot of things to do because it's a complex game. And once everything, you can do stats, and you can, I don't know, do some things with them, and then choose talents, and then give you a name. And then when you save it, you can go to the character sheet for the character. Okay, so this is another module in Era where you can see all the information for your characters, all the skills, and you have filters to see only what's positive or all the skills, your favorite. If you have, in some role-playing games have like spells or talents or mystics abilities or stuff like that. So you get to see, I didn't install the books here. Okay, and you see the information, what the character can do, and store information, have some inventory for the character. Then you can save the file, load it. If I get a more complete example, you can also get the file for printing, because the idea here was that Era would help you have a better experience at the gaming table, but it would not replace the moment where you join with people. It would just help you create your character and then level it up, and then maybe resolve something during the adventure, but you still would have like a physical sheet of paper with the information for your character if you wanted it. So you can generate it with Era and then print it, okay? So that is mostly what the players would do with the assistance from the game master. But then, of course, once I saw this was working and it was nice, I started adding more and more features. And now you can do stuff like go adventuring. So this is a module that I was using in my notebook while playing. I had a small notebook next to me, so I could keep track of some things for the game. For example, if I were playing with two friends, I would add their characters, and then if a character wanted to roll to see if they could do some skill, I added the ability to, you know, if they wanted to climb, and this would prepare. You see that it's not, there are some role-playing games where you say, I want to, you know, climb that wall, and it's roll the dice, and if it's high enough, you climb it. But games like Rolemaster, Against the Darkmaster, or Navigator, they are rules heavy, so they have different parameters that model what can be done. It's more like a simulationist kind of game. So there are many things that determine whether you can do or not the different things. So here you would put the dice rolled by the character, and then you would get a result. Or you can see it. Let's see some other skill. Okay, and you get the description. These descriptions come from the book. Okay, and then after accepting, the game master always gets like a summary of what happened. This also manages the spells of the character, so you can, you know, cast a spell and search for the spell. Keeps tracks of the hit points, the status of the character, and it also manages combat. In case you want to start the combat, the game master can do it from here. You know, can add an enemy, and you can resolve attacks. Okay, and it would, you have all these parameters, and the results are also in 2 steps, because you can just do hits or maybe do some extra damage. So you put the roll there, and it says, okay, you dealt 6 hits, 20 penalty, 1 round, and stuff like that. And it would also keep track of the what's happening with the enemies. Once the game master is using this for the adventure, what I did was create another tool to help the players not have to keep track of everything in their sheet of paper. I mean, they will be at the table looking at the paper, rolling dice, talking about the story, but maybe at some point they want to check how is their character doing, or what they want to remember, if their character can do something or not. So what I created was another module that is the character status module. Okay. The idea is that you go to the character status module on your phone, you choose the character you're using, okay, and there you can see the status of the character and check some information if you want to check the skills, the spells, if you want to open a whole spell book with whatever the character knows, or check what's in their inventory, or their defenses, resistances, do some movement. Okay, so Era does all of that using Smalltalk, using Pharo, using Seaside, well, Willow, a lot of the things. Other thing that then I've added was to well, maybe this is not that interesting at this point. Let's not waste time on then. If you want, we check more of that. And then what you can do is add the packages that you purchase online. So you would come here, click to install a purchase book file. And if you go to, I don't know, this core law, it would reset the application with the new content. So now if we want to create a character, we have a lot of the things, because what I was using first was just what comes with the free package. And then you can purchase the content for the books, which has a lot of more things, as you can see. Well, so another thing that it does, just to get you a glimpse of what we can then check on the Smalltalk side of things, is that it has an API that's listening on another port that you can use to do, for example, the attacks directly without using this interface. So if I go to the attack endpoint, it will get me all the different tables I have, for example. Let's see. Yeah. And then you can ask for the result for one of the attacks. Okay, so if you want to check this attack, it tells you need the armor and the number. So we'll put armor. Okay, so if you do this, you get the result that would be the equivalent of making this attack in the adventuring module with the interface. And another thing that I added was an example in case, because some people did not like the interface, but they wanted to make use of the tools that Hera has. So I prepared an API example in Excel where they can use the same API that I just showed. Okay. So if I go to unarmed strikes and I put the 3 there, 99 there, and refresh it again, I get the same result, okay, that I got here, which would be the same if I did it in the attack model. Okay, so that's maybe about what the application does. Now about how it does it, the content of many of the configurations is done using XML. If I enter to the Rolemaster Unified, which is the one I started here, I get the adventures. So the things that you do in the adventures are stored in an XML from the adventure. Characters are also stored in the characters directory. And there's also a lot of customization available to the users because they can access, for example, an XML for a fighter, and they can see how it is designed. And they can just copy this file, change the names, change some information about it. Okay, so if I just change it here, then edit. I know, I put it fighter. If I restart the server, here, there's a lot of configuration that you can do. I'm not showing everything because I want to also show the Smalltalk part of it. So now, if I go to the professions, I also have a fighter and I can change whatever I want about it. So the idea there is that because these kind of games are highly customizable and no two gaming groups will play the same, I'm offering the way for them to configure how they play and what they do with the game. And there are games that no two games look alike. Nobody uses the rules from the books as they are, and everyone has their house rules. So okay, maybe that's for the feature part. If you then want to, if anyone wants to ask about something about the features, you let me know then. I'll move on to the Smalltalk part of it. Okay, so this, let's close the server because now we're going to use the Pharo one. So in Pharo, this is a lot of packages, but let's see some of it. So if I go and check what I have out there, okay, I have a lot of packages for the API, this launcher, the model, the tests. This is not developed using test-driven development, except for very specific functional parts. I mostly work on first trying to get the visual of what I want to do, and then I start polishing it, and then maybe I add tests to ensure that whatever behavior I got is kept in the long time. So if I go to data test, you can see it's not much. Okay, it's 1,000 tests, which is not much considering the number of packages and classes. You see, this is quite a number of classes for the model. The persistent has another set of things, and then the web part of it has all these classes. Okay, so what I'm doing to model the rules is that there's a gaming system that has access to the different books. Okay, so for instance, let me see, I'll start the same that we're going before, and let's see, I can go, for example, and it's no, let's go here. A gaming group registry, okay, and I can use a singleton. So this has the gaming groups, which there's only one for now. I inspect it. Okay. The gaming group has an adventure assistant, which has the ongoing adventure. Once I've rolled, I didn't show them, and knows about the gaming system. Okay. So the gaming system has a rule set, and then what you do is to a gaming system. For example, if you want to do something about the combat, the books in Rolemaster are typically called laws. So you have the arms law, the spell law for magic, the game master law for the rules about managing the adventure. So I use that idea, but what I have internally is more like subsystems. Okay, so it's like the game system is the composite one. And I'm using Kepler, maybe I should, for the sake of presentation, let everybody know in case you don't know them. If I go to, okay, so this is the Buenos Aires Smalltalk repository in GitHub, and it has many things that we use for our projects. So in case you know, there are many talks at the Smalltalks conferences about them. Sagan manages persistence, Target manages the creation of APIs, Voice complement Pharo, Launchpad is for launching the application. I'm also using Hyperspace when I need to make an HTTP call. Well, Willow, I already told you for the interactions in web. Then I'm using Kepler for the systems, which is the one I wanted to mention. With Kepler, you can declare that there's a composite system and there are subsystems. So what I do is, if I call the arms law here, no, it's not gaming system. Okay, so this is the arms law, and this is solved like this. This is using Kepler protocol to access a subsystem. Okay, and then the thing is that there are many variations on how some things are resolved in the different books, and I needed to get support for many things. So some of the classes you will see are resolving things in different ways. For example, the arms law has some of the things that it does depend on the combat resolution rulings. Okay, and some others. Let's see, where is it? And then some other are the combat style creation rulings. Okay, so for example, the combat resolution rulings is a hierarchy that has different ways to solve things depending on which book you are using, which is configured. Let's see here. Most of the things in this part of the application are reading some hierarchies to offer them as options here. So the combat resolution rulings would be, let's see, no, this one, yeah, well, this one only has one. If I start the other one, let's see. I think this one has two. Okay, so you have the armors and attack tables have this option, and then the combat styles have this. You have to install more books to get more options here, and you can also edit the XML directly to get some more advanced stuff. Okay, so these rule settings. This XML is representing what you see here, but if you get in here and edit some things manually, you can get even more options because the application just tries to help with declaring this. Okay. Any questions so far? Are you getting the idea of how this goes, or just to make sure anyone is following? Yeah. Okay. So then let's see what else. Well, some other books have different implementations. Let's see, I think the character law. Character law also has rulings. Okay. Well, never mind. I have some other hierarchies over there. The other thing that I did was once I have this running, there were many players which wanted to have this, but not running locally, and instead have them on the cloud. During the pandemic, many people started playing online, so they were no longer gathering at the table together, and people had to run the application and then see how to, I don't know, open a port in their computer so that other could connect to the local network. They were not getting it because not all of the users are technically oriented. So what I did was I created a Digital Ocean server, and I connected it with Auth0 for the user management. So you can go and use it without having to start your own account. So if you go to era.net, get the login, and you get the same application, but it has some slight differences in that it will tell you what you're doing, how you're logged in, and then the rest is the same, which is why I created this dialog that helps you see the content, because the users that are using the cloud installation do not have access to their files. They are in the cloud. So what they can do there is come here and see if they want to upload a new file, delete a file, download some files that the application creates that might be of use to them, and then they just restart the server so it reads everything again. And every time you upload a file to any of these sections, a specific parser will be applied. Okay, so you can see, let's see. So the installed files web view is this one, and it will have this. So it knows the directories, and it knows the validations for each directory. So it knows what to do with each directory, and what it does is have some parsers, which I try to make sure that the user gets like a consistent experience. So the parser that is applied when you upload the file is the same parser that the application will use when it starts on that directory. And also I try to make sure that the application running in DigitalOcean is exactly the same that I ship to drive-through. The only difference is that there's maybe a shorter delay, because if I complete a version, I can automatically upload it to DigitalOcean and have it be used. Whereas if I have to update the version on drive-through, I have to send it to the company that publishes it, and then they have to publish it, and then the user have to remember to go and check that there's a new version. Okay, so another thing that I did was see how to do this. No, I'll just tell you, because if not, it will take too long. If the thing is, when you run the installed version, let's close this one. And load again. When you run this one, the about dialog tells you the date on which the version was created. And if it detects there's an online check that I keep, where I keep the different versions, and if it detects that there's a new version, this about button will start wiggling and it will be painted red. And when you open it, it will tell you that there is a new version. It will remind you to go and download it. Because sometimes what happened was that people were complaining that they purchased, I don't know, a new module, but then couldn't get it to work, and it was because there was a new version that they needed to download to get support for the features in that module. Okay, and let's go back to Pharo. Then what I have are the different development tools and stuff for deployment. Okay, so for deployment, what I do is I start from a clean Pharo image, and I load only the deployment package of my baseline, and then I have a lot of tips and tricks that I've gathered over the years. I did one presentation specifically on this, on generating the executable files for Windows, Mac, and Linux in the Smalltalks, I don't know, some years ago. It hasn't changed much since then. I try to keep up with the different news in Pharo on how to make this more optimal. And once the image has everything loaded and disables the things that I don't want the user to interact with, then I prepare the new version, and it's just like starting a Pharo image where using Launchpad, I can guarantee what will run and which settings to get. The nice thing about Launchpad is that it's the Buenos Aires Smalltalk project that allows you to declare mandatory parameters and optional parameters, and it will also know when to load things from it can load things from the command line, parameters from the command line, and it can also load them from ini files, and it can also load them from environment variables. So I use a combination of those. For example, to start this, let's see. Well, this will take some common parameters, but then we'll specify, for example, the rule set, which is a mandatory parameter. And then what I did was that one is like reading it from the command line, which is combined with this one, which is also to be considered command line. I don't have an option to edit this. Okay, so these are just more parameters for Launchpad. But then I tell Launchpad that there's a settings file here. And so some other settings that I do. These ones are the settings that I don't want the user to be messing with. So I put them here, which is like more hidden in a way. But if the user wants to edit something, they can get to this ini file, and here they can, for example, change the port if they want to check for updates. Also, there's a conference features part. I think I didn't show that. Let's see, that might be interesting. Because I was, as time went by, I started adding more stuff for the players to be able to not be in the same room. Okay, so because the reality was that the games were not being played that much in person, and they were more played virtually, and there started to be a lot of tools for this. There's like applications like Fantasy Grounds, Roll20, and Foundry, which are called virtual tabletops. And my last presentation at the Smalltalks conference 2 years ago was about virtual tabletops and how ERA was starting to be a part of that ecosystem, and how it started to be a business in a way because of all the modules that are being sold. So I wanted to tell you about see. In files. No. I'm not sure where I wanted to go next. Okay. Let's do something else then. Let's start Pharo again. I remember now. Wait. What I did, one of the things that I did to improve use during the conference, the pandemic and stuff like that, was that I combined it with Jitsi. So if you are sharing the adventure and you are not using, I don't know, Discord for chatting, you have an option here to meet the party online. So if you click on this, it will go to Jitsi. Okay. Well, no, I will not be mixing it up with Zoom to make a mess of things, but this will start a Jitsi meeting with the name of your adventure and with the one going from this module with the role of Game Master, and then other player. And then the players get this icon where they can do the same, but they will be accessing the same Jitsi meeting with the same name, but with their player as a username. Okay, so that's another thing that I did to improve online gaming. And what I'm working on now is to give more options to those also playing remotely. So one thing that happens is that maybe you don't have one of the experiences that is lost or when you're playing virtually, is that you're not rolling dice. You're not there with the rest of the people to roll the dice to see what happens, but you still need to resolve things. So previously, ERA only had like buttons to do random rolls. See. So when you are resolving a maneuver, for example, you can do this random roll it will just put a number there. But I'm trying to add it to make it more interesting to people playing online. So what I'm doing now is working on a way. See, okay. For them to get the dice, these are 10-sided die, which are used for these games. So the idea is that you can roll them. Okay, I'm still working on that. But then the game master can the game master can come here and check the different rolls. Okay, so if this player gets a 58, you get this. Okay, so that way I'm starting to build on a way for some better interactions. And also another thing that I learned about a little while ago is server sent events, which is a way for to swap what's normally going on in a web application, because you normally just tell the server things, but at some point you might want the server to tell you as a client something. So for instance, let's do two. Okay, let's separate these views here a little bit. So for example, this is what the players used to have on their cell phones, right? So they were playing and they were using this to check how things were going. And I wanted this to be updated, okay? So if you damage the character, if the character had some status effect or something or was bleeding, I wanted them to know. So what I used to do was get a jQuery interval, it's a JavaScript interval. So I know every 10 seconds, refresh this page, refresh this section, but it didn't make much sense, because you would be all the time, every 10 seconds, asking the server if there's news, when most of the time there would not be any news. If you're outside of combat, nothing would happen, and this would be a needless toll on the server. So now I'm using, then I'll show you the Smalltalk part of it. I'm using server sent events, so that when, for example, I don't know, let's see, this character attacks this one and makes some damage. No, let's suppose cast a spell. That does, I think it's here, cost negative. Okay, it's minus 20 hits, 3 rounds of down, or 2 bleeding. Okay, so now when I click accept, okay, no, it did not work. Why didn't work? Well, of course, I couldn't be doing a presentation and it not be having some issues. Let's see if I change it here. Okay, that worked. Well, let's try again then. You saw there that I changed the information here and it changed here. Let's give it another chance to this one. Let's suppose this heals but stuns the character. Okay. Well, so one dialogue is working and the other is not, but this one seems to be working. So if I change here again and add some bleeding. No, okay. Well, it still needs work then. Or for some reason it's not working. I know. It seems to be working only partially. And so the idea here is that I'm working on server sent events that will allow the application to send to the server to send news to those clients who are interested in them. And the way to do that for now.
One quick question there,
Yeah, please.
So for server-side events, how does it work? Are WebSockets involved there? Or?
No, not WebSockets. No? WebSockets, it's like the next step if I want to make it more interactive. But I've researched it, and so far it does not make sense for me to use the server, the WebSocket technology, because that's more prepared for scenarios where you're in constant exchange of information between the server and clients, like for online games. Okay, but here I only want some players or some connections to the server at some point to receive just some news. Okay, like someone rolled these dice and I don't want them to have to refresh the page manually. So what will happen at some point, I don't have, well, I can, if the application wants to run, I can, let me try something. And if I can get it working, you can see it working. Let's see. No, well, because I'm still working on something, but since this is talk with people who might be interested in upcoming technologies, let's put this back and you'll see what I'm working on. Really hope there are not users here who will spoil the surprise. Okay, so now there will be in the next versions of Era a new option which will say join the adventure, which will model the gaming table itself. But it's really a long work in progress. Let me see. Okay. So I go to this one and this one. Let's load the adventure again. So this is not even a finished design, but if this works, no. Okay, I'm not gonna be able to show this. Okay. Well, you'll have to learn about this next time I make a presentation. Let's see about the server events, the server sent events. So I'm basing my code on something that Sven did, okay? Because he had something that was like a sync server sent event, was almost what I needed, but not exactly. So, but that code was the way I got it working like I wanted to. So with another, I'm using a let's see, I subclassed the seaside server adapter delegate so that when it handles a request, it checks and it, I'm basically doing the same thing that seaside has already. I found this one. There was a seaside static server adapter delegate, which will try to handle a request, and if not, will assume that the request was to get to a file. So I did something similar with this one, and if the normal adapter does not work and gets a not found, but it was a get and it's not for authentication, it will delegate to a simple delegate for sync, but which will have this server sent event responses. Okay, so I don't know how much the code can be. Let's see how to put the adapter, which has a delegate. This is also a subclass of the sync servers adapter. The only difference is that the default delegate is the one I created, and a server sent event response is a subclass of sync response. The difference is that well, it does not have to cache, and it's using this weird method which the sync server is using, right? Which is use connection. So if you put this here, you will be able to get the stream on which the response is being stored to the client. And if your response has the correct format, which let me see where it ended. Server sent and classes. this I'm still using. This is the only class from Sven I'm still using, the server sentiment. So this one will know to use a specific protocol format, which is called text event stream. And if you respond with event stream, the client will handle everything and will keep listening on that connection. And if you start sending data in the form of its data, colon, and whatever, you can do stuff with that. And then you have to write your jQuery files. Let me see. No, this will not be there. So like so. So you get, you need to create JavaScript code that listens to specific events, and then you can do something. Okay. So I'm doing, if I send to the client some simple information like some dice were rolled and it's this number, I can use JavaScript just to make the animation for the dice and make them fall on the number that I know the server said that the random game. And that's the easy one. The hardest one was getting the client to refresh a large portion of the application when the server tells it there's news. So what I did there was just, I created, I'm using Willow so that the client knows that the server changed something. So the client says, okay, I'm game, tell me what changed, and asked the server for that information, but that is only done if the server says there's some news. Okay, so that's just to make it easier on my side and not have to write a lot of JavaScript, because I created Willow not to have to write JavaScript anymore. So everything I learned in JavaScript, I start putting it into Willow, and then I can use Smalltalk all the way. Okay. I'm sure there are tons of more things that I'm doing in ERA and solving in different ways. And I'd be glad to know which you would like to see. That's why I spend a lot of time showing the application, because I wanted you to know what it can do, so you can ask, if you are interested in knowing how it does some of that part of the application. Okay, because now the first hour we said was up, so I would like to listen to questions, challenges, maybe even, because I've been developing this for like 10 years on my own. I'm having all the support of the Buenos Aires Smalltalk group, because I coordinate with them. I mean, I put my part in that, but I also get, like, for example, Stargate was heaven sent for me, because I can have an API in ERA. Also, I'm using the Renoir, which helps with the cascading style sheet, and that's also something that I got for free, let's say, in the open source community in the Buenos Aires Smalltalk group. So whatever you want to know about the application, or if you want to, like I said, challenge why I did some things the way I did, because there may be even better ways to do many of the things that I'm doing. But I'm happy with what I built. I'm happy that all the things, Smalltalk has been always the best tool for this job. So I'm happy to be able to, after 10 years, keep adding every day more features to the application. And now that it's not that much money, but at least it's, like I said, it's a business that it's active. So at least it pays for more gaming books. Okay.
Oh, that's
I'd like
brilliant.
to, yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, thank you very much. It's quite a big application, and yeah, we're but quite impressive, all the things that you have been using. And so it's, from what you said, it is a business, but your main motivation is continue doing developing the game for yourself as well, or?
Yeah, my motivation is to have tools. That's something that I learned from Hernan Wilkinson, who said, if you know how to do something, then explain it to the computer and stop wasting your time doing it and let the computer do it for you. And so you can use your time for more interesting things. So in times also what has happened was I tried to model as many of the rules, especially the complex ones, in the application. And maybe some user or someone in my gaming group will say, okay, ERA is broken. Look, it's doing this or that. And I say, oh, damn, let's check, let's see about this bug. And when I go to the code, thanks to it being written in Smalltalk, I read the code so I understand the rule, and most of the time it's not a bug, it's that the player was misunderstanding the book. And I can go and explain to them, no, ERA is doing this and this, and sometimes some methods also have comments with reference to some part of some book. So you know the rules is really well done, and most of those moments I go and maybe write a test to make sure that this behavior stays that way, and then I run the test every time I close the new version.
Yeah, fantastic. So I'm checking if we have any chat in the any question in the chat. People saying it's nice, yeah. And so we are open now to questions for everyone who wants to have any comment. Please go ahead. Well, we have a quiet group today.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, if you want to carry on with something else that you
I
consider.
mean, the application has a lot of classes. So
Yes.
I don't know. There are many uses of different patterns. I know a lot of builders, a lot of configuration. Something that Smalltalk has given me that may have been impossible in other dialects, or maybe really hard, is that, for example, at a point I needed to have some specific behavior during an adventure, and I could go and create like a temporary ruling that made some method work in a specific way, and I could install that, and that would only work for a while, and then I could go back to the previous behavior without touching the source code, you know, the compiled method. And then what else? And then what I have are, there are some things that I had to change in the deployment mode. And for example, what I have are this, let's see. For example, I have a source replacement catalog, okay? For instance, I want to replace a specific method with another code, but I want to make sure that I'm overwriting the same version that I'm expecting. So it has the expected source, the replacement source, and I can then run a test that will check that all the expected sources are there, so that I will not be replacing something with an invalid from not invalid, but maybe, for example, this method I realized today that in Pharo has changed a little bit, and the test warned me that I was overwriting a method that was not written as I expected it anymore. So it was like a red light to improve on that.
So you're generating code here then?
No, the code is already written. It's just compiling the method, but I have the source code that I expect and the source code that I will replace it with when I'm deploying. Then the replacer. Okay, so you see there, I'm trying to reify anything that's too complex so I can then test it and have it reused. For example, to quit the session, and I added something that will mention it, because something that I struggled with was that I want to deploy this and make it look like a very solid, complete commercial product, but sometimes Pharo is more used by people doing, I think, research or improving like the like the object model and the features of Pharo. And when most people say they are doing a commercial application in Pharo, I think what they do is they host a website or maybe they host it online. Okay, but I needed to give Pharo to Mac users who have no idea how to do, I don't know, how to uninstall a zip file, or how to, I want a Windows user to see a nice logo. So I had to override some methods because Pharo sometimes was not prepared to, I don't know, say ERA in the place where it's just said Pharo. So I had to tinker with which things I could change, and those that I couldn't, it's still Smalltalk. So I have methods, I know, for example, to replace the source code, so it will say the things that I want.
And for Mac, do you need to do some sort of signature, no? Or
no, for Mac, what I'm doing, let's see. Keep in mind that this is, I call it a business, and it's making only the slightest amount of money. And Mac is, to get the signature, I think you have to pay them. And I don't have that kind of money to invest in that. I don't have that many Mac users also. Most of my users are in Windows. Let's see, let me check, because I have a file somewhere. Where is it? Oh, here. This is the font. I don't know if it will be easy to read. But what I'm doing is when you download the product, you also get these installation instructions, which for Windows, it just says, okay, start the application. But for Mac, there's this suggestion on how to remove from quarantine the ERA applications, because they will likely be blocked by Mac by default.
yeah.
Also, I've had some problems with Windows, with some antivirus, because they are flagging ERA as a potential threat because of the way I'm starting the application. Because you see, I have now the ones I show you now are these bad files. But this is my new version that has not been released yet, because previously I was having these nice exe files with a nice dice icon, but that was using PowerShell inside to start Pharo with different parameters. And most antivirus said, no, that's suspicious. Why are you running an exe that will start another exe with extra parameters? Well, so I didn't have any other way to do it, and I lost the icons now, because there's no way to, that I found so far, to get icons for batch files. I don't know if there are any other questions. If you want to remember something else, I'll tell you.
So and all the persistence is based on XML files, no? Usually.
Yeah, all persistence is based on XML. I'm not using anything else because of my users specifically. I could not ask them to. I can't ask the users. Some of my first users were all the United States military retired people, and they like their games. Yeah, and they just wanted an application to create their characters, and maybe they I can't ask them to install SQL or Docker or anything like that. I need to give them something that's self-contained. So with XMLs, I found that it was easy to package. It was easy to deploy new content, because I need to update what they have installed. So that's just some zip files with XMLs inside. And the management of zips can be handled by Pharo. So Pharo can unzip in memory. So that's why I can send the user just some zip files and I tell them, you don't touch them. Let data handle it, and it's managed internally. I also can ask them to install Docker, and also at the beginning there was, nowadays I have this online server and the online check for the versions, but at the beginning there was even some reluctancy by some people to install an application that would connect to the internet. They wanted something that they would just be able to run in their computers and be like a standalone thing. So XML also fitted that nicely. And if someone does want to customize the application, XML is also a nice way to have everything organized and to make them be able to, with a little effort, add some new content or update the content that they already have installed.
And Digital Ocean is another cloud provider where you can.
Yeah. DigitalOcean has the cloud, and Auth0 manages the users. So the application, when it starts, it will check if it's installed in an environment that has settings for that. And in that case, it starts all the management for the users. And if not, it assumes it's in a local computer and will just run the default sync in the same way as it has been doing for years.
Very brilliant. So just out of curiosity, so you mentioned the Buenos Aires Smalltalk group. So those, I thought that was part of Mercap, but there are other contributors to those to that repository.
Yes, Buenos Aires Smalltalk is the thing is that Mercap also provides its developers to the group if anything is needed. So Mercap needed APIs, so developers at Mercap, well, specifically mostly Gabriel Cotelli, developed Stargate, and then as Stargate was agreed to be part of Buenos Aires Smalltalk, so it's open sourced. But everyone's invited to join, and people who are no longer working at Mercap also keep contributing, and also some people from outside have been interested during the years, because we also have the Buenos Aires Smalltalk Slack, and in the Slack we had people from all over the world sometimes asking about some of the projects there, and if they want to, I don't know, send a pull request, it's or a merge request, I don't know how GitHub calls it, you can do it. It's completely open to the public. And then Mercap, what they do is they guarantee that they will keep using those, so that any bugs we found in the products are fixed and updated there, also in open source.
Yeah, I must say that so I recently joined that Slack channel. That's how I contacted you, or I started to rejoin the Smalltalk community. And it's both in these Slack channels, there are different Slack. Well, this Slack has different channels. Most of them, they are a mixture of English and Spanish. So, but if you write in English, you will get replied in English.
Yeah.
So
also, some people write in Spanish and they get the replies in English. So everything's fine with us. Don't worry. You can write whatever, and if you write in another language, which at least we'll try a Google Translate of it and try to help anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, what I find interesting about that Slack is that it joins people from different communities, a bit of Pharo, a bit of Quiz, a bit of... I haven't seen much of a Squeak, but there is not a very, I would say, it's not segregated for a flavor of Smalltalk.
No, not at all. No, we have channels for everything. Mostly people just go to the general channel and ask questions, technical questions there. Maybe they want to. What I found interesting is that sometimes they will put philosophical Smalltalk questions in the general channel, where is this? Discord? No, it's not. Someone asked about if it's in Discord. It's not Discord. It's Slack. If you go to the website, I think there's a link here. Yeah, if you go to here to the Fundación Argentina Smalltalk, you can get this link that is here. So that will get you an invite to the Buenos Aires Smalltalk Slack. Okay, yeah, welcome. Yeah, what I've seen there is that sometimes people want to maybe compare. They want to implement something in one flavor of Smalltalk, and they want to know how others are doing it. So they ask, okay, I want to do this. What do you expect the result would be, and stuff like that. Or maybe they just want to ask what they think about a very old implementation. Sometimes, like in Smalltalk 70, there was this implementation of this. And what do you think? Should it be like that? Should we improve on that? Should we change it? And they start. And that's when you see the Spanish and English responses all mixed up, because everyone there understand most languages.
Chips in, yeah, true.
And we also there, we coordinate some things about the conference in Argentina, the Smalltalks. We always ask for volunteers. We also put the news there about how it's going.
So we have a comment from Steve Ward, who wrote a BDT for Rolemaster in React and JavaScript. Wow.
Okay. So we wrote a BDT for Rolemaster in React and JavaScript. Okay. A BDT, it's a virtual tabletop. So something that allows you to play, to simulate. I could join the Discord and maybe ask some more question there. Yeah, what I just shared is Slack. Okay, there's also a Discord, but the Pharo Discord. If you want to ask, I'm also in the Pharo Discord. If you want to ask all things there, no problem. You can also go to the Rolemaster Discord if you want, because there are 2 Rolemaster Discords, and you can also go to there are a lot of people there writing virtual tabletops and different flavors. Says if there's some way to use Era as a backend. Era can be used as a backend that's to some point, because I only did the API for the attack resolution. All the other features are not available through the API, not because I don't want to, but because I didn't get that much interest. Sometimes I do a little implementation of something, I see if people like it, and some people were saying, I don't like the interface, I would just like to solve it in Excel. And I told them, okay, here you have an Excel, here you have an API, but then almost no one talked about it. So I don't about going back to the motivation. I want to do tools that are of use to me. I also want to understand like the philosophy behind role-playing games and rules in gaming. So I try to add more games. That's why I do more than just Rolemaster at this point, because I wanted to see how the code could manage with different rule sets. But I also try to do things that are of interest to me to keep myself motivated, the technological aspects of it. So maybe I wrote an API and nobody used it and it's fine. And now I'm using server-sent events and I know I'm happy with it. And I think it's a good feature. Navigator RPG is something that said that he didn't want to in case someone didn't want to play Rolemaster, he created like an open license for his own game, which works almost like Rolemaster. So I offered to give him virtual tabletop support, and that's why you have the Era for Navigator RPG. The same person is also working on other role-playing books. What I'm not providing much support for now, it's what's called solo role-playing. There's some people that play role-playing games, but not with a group of people, but just to try to use the rules of the game to create an interesting story. And I haven't delved in that much, but it seems like this requires what they call like an oracle, a point that helps with the randomness of what's going on in the adventure, and you have to like guide it or something like that. And ERA does not have much support for that. For Navigator, since the guy doing it, he had some tables at the book with this simple oracle. I prepared that in ERA. I didn't show it in the end, this one. So if you start the Navigator, that will work. Let's click this one. Okay, so for Navigator, if you go to this role for encounters and treasures, you can query the tables. And if you go to the oracle, you can ask a question, and then the oracle will say, for example, that about your question, there's agreement related to art. I don't know how to use it that way. I only copy the table and make sure that people using Navigator for solo role playing could get access to a table with randomness there. For instance, then I tried, let me see, this one, and I install this book. This has assistance for creating treasures. So you can roll or ask ERA to roll, and it will keep giving you, because see, it's okay, you have something of wealth, check what, says okay, it's something that's worth 12 silver pieces, it's a coronet, but it's made of precious gems and stuff like that. But which precious gem? It's an apatite, and it's 1 copper per card. The tables were in this book, and so I try to give the users the digital version of what they can do in the book. So if you make all the rolls, and you can say, okay, I got the superior design Joe, it's superior design armor, and 10 iron pieces, stuff like